the Missouri Farm Bureau Board of Directors, who are a part of our leadership team, and they have a lot of support that they give for today's program. You've already met President Hawkins, but want to introduce Missouri Farm Bureau Vice President Todd Hayes. Todd's in the back there. Todd's from Marion County. We also have Mr. Dwayne Kaiser in the back, State Board Director of District 7 from Berry County. Next to him is Mr. Stan Cody, Wright County District 8 Board of Directors. And last but not least, we have Miss Dana Lane, North At-Large Board Member, coming to us from Lynn County. Dana's right here up front. We appreciate the leadership that the board provides to Farm Bureau, and we hope you will have a chance to thank them individually on your way out. Please join me now in welcoming on Zoom Jennifer Poindexter, Director of Promotion and Education. Jennifer?
Thank you, Spencer. Let's take a moment and give Spencer a round of applause for being a wonderful host and MC. She volunteered to take that role on in my absence, and we just really appreciate all her help. I hope that you have enjoyed your time so far today. We have a great afternoon program for you. You might be wondering what Missouri Farm Bureau can offer you, and there are several opportunities. We take a lot of pride in offering educational resources for students like yourselves. In high school, you can obtain scholarships from your county or from your state office. Maybe you'll participate in the fall speaking event. Missouri Farm Bureau also sponsors MOFB certificates that you all obtain through CDEs. In college, you may join a Collegiate Farm Bureau chapter, be an intern, or even, I can only speak for myself, but I know that when I joined Collegiate Farm Bureau, I wasn't expecting that it would open up the opportunities that it did. I had the opportunity to intern for this organization, not just once, but twice. A few years later, it led my husband and I to serve on our state Young Farmers and Ranchers Committee, where we gained friends who are family and learned from the best of the best. All of these opportunities led to my career here at Missouri Farm Bureau. There are opportunities for anyone, and there's room for you. I am pleased to welcome our next speaker, Missouri Farm Bureau President Garrett Hawkins. Garrett served as an ambassador in 2000, was the National Legislative Director of Missouri Farm Bureau for 14 years, and served as the Deputy Director to Director Chinn for 2 years. He and his wife, Jennifer, have 3 children. Garrett?
All right, thank you, Jennifer. Tell you what, we have so much to be thankful for. If you all don't mind, if you would assume an attitude of prayer, and let's just give thanks for this day. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and just thank you for the opportunity to gather, to celebrate this wonderful industry of agriculture, Lord. We just ask that you continue to watch over this group as well as those who are in our families and in our communities at home. We just pray for safe travels for this group, and we just give thanks for the food of which we were able to partake, and just ask that you use it to nourish our bodies and to give us the strength to continue to do your will. We ask all these things in your precious Son's name. Amen. All right, but I want to leave you with some thoughts, some things that I hope will be on your mind as you hear from our Director of Agriculture, Chris Chinn, as well as Rachel Kagay, who will be up here soon. You heard Governor Parson this morning talk about Missouri being on the right path, okay? You heard him, right? You heard him say that, okay? I'm going to talk a little bit about why that is the case. Because as I met with the Mizzou Collegiate Farm Bureau last night, I got a little bit wound up, okay? A little wound up because I could not be more excited about the future of agriculture and rural Missouri, okay? And frankly, our entire state. So I come at this from a point of appreciation, and it's humble appreciation when you think about Missouri for decades has been the epicenter of agricultural leadership, okay? Now, I'm not trying to be too proud, but the reality is you think about the birth of the National FFA organization, right? The world's largest youth agricultural organization. Where did it all start? Kansas City, Missouri, right? You all remember that from your Green Hand days. Well, if you didn't know, Farm Bureau was actually birthed in Missouri as well. The very first state Farm Bureau was Missouri Farm Bureau in 1915, okay? Today, Farm Bureau is the world's largest farm organization. So you think about FFA and Farm Bureau both have their roots here in Missouri. And you think about what that means for leadership in our industry. And it's something that we can all be really proud of. It is special, okay? Then you look at Missouri from the standpoint of we are so diverse in what we grow and raise here in the state. Earlier this morning, I had the chance to do a podcast with Congressman Jason Smith, who represents the 8th District, basically southeast Missouri and the Ozarks. And he always likes to say that the only commodities that we don't raise in Missouri are citrus and sugar. Okay? You think about that. Missouri truly is the bridge between southern agriculture, cotton and rice in the Boot Hill, to traditional Midwest agriculture and everything in between. So when I talk about and when we talk about being blessed to be involved in agriculture, we truly are blessed because of the diversity of our production. Missouri is also the epicenter, I mean the focus of attracting new technology, new research, and new innovation. How many of you know that Kansas City, that stretch of Missouri, is the world's largest conglomerate of animal health companies in the world? Right here in our own backyard, Kansas City. Kansas City attracts more companies enterprising in animal health than anywhere else in the world. And on the other side of the states, we have more plant scientists, more advanced plant scientists in the St. Louis region than anywhere else in the world. Folks, that's why companies, that's why agribusiness wants to come to Missouri, okay? Because we are a hub for research and innovation. It's pretty exciting when I think about it. Then you think about hardcore infrastructure, our roads, our system of roads, bridges, the Mississippi, Missouri rivers. When you look at Missouri on a map, we're at the cross-section of the country, right? And when you talk about doing business, Missouri is a great place because so many goods move through our state. And so infrastructure is key, and we have a governor who has been putting a ton of time and energy into making sure that we have the best infrastructure in the nation. And then education. You look at the quality of secondary education in this state and the opportunities that you have in 4-H and FFA. You look at the opportunities that you have out of high school in technical education as well as 2- and 4-year schools. You know, as I talk to my colleagues around the country, very few states have the post-secondary ag education opportunities like Missouri has. Take your pick and you have your options to pursue advanced degrees because of all of the choice and the investment that's been made in higher ed. And then finally, kind of the linchpin, the thread that holds this all together is a crop of leaders all across this state who believe in you, okay? Parents, ag teachers, chaperones, please stand up if you're here. Give these folks a hand. They took time away from the farm and from work and from school to get you here today because they believe in you. We believe in you. That's why we've invested the time and resources to put on this program. You are leaders today, and more importantly, you're going to be the leaders that we pass the baton on to help take Missouri to the next level. So what I want you to hear from me today is that we couldn't be more excited about the future that we are working to build for you. And you are a key part of that. Every day we are focused on how do we bring kids back to the farm and how do we make sure our communities are a growing and thriving place in which you can raise a family someday. So I want you to know here at Farm Bureau, we have a place for you. And in Missouri agriculture, we have a place for you. And if you don't end up working in agriculture, that's okay. But hopefully you stay in this state because you are learning the values and the responsibilities now that we want you as colleagues when we think about how we're going to move this state forward in the future. So thank you all for being here today. At this time, I'm going to welcome up our youth ambassadors. Jennifer noted that I had the chance to serve as a youth ambassador back in my younger days. It's been just a few years ago, but this program is so tremendous in the chance to not only represent your county farm bureau, but the chance to serve the entire state of this organization and to represent us at various events. So Ms. Jessica Janorski, I've known her for quite a few years. She kicked my tail in a half marathon a few years ago in Clinton, Missouri. So her sister had the chance to serve as an ambassador. Jessica represents Buchanan County and did a fantastic job in the contest, and she's a student at the University of Missouri. And Jacob Hall is also a student at the University of Missouri, hails from Marshall, Missouri in Saline County. So please help me welcome them to the podium to share some words of wisdom and advice for fellow young people. So welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Jefferson City. We're so glad to have you all here with us today. As he said, my name is Jacob Hall. I'm from Saline County. I went to high school in Marshall, Missouri, and I'm currently a junior at the University of Missouri, and I'm studying general agriculture with an emphasis in hospitality management. So I had the opportunity growing up to grow up in a town that really supported youth in agriculture through both 4-H and FFA. I had the opportunity to witness the Missouri Farm Bureau really pour into students through both scholarships and sponsorships all throughout my high school years, even some public speaking contests that I got to take part of. So whenever I had the opportunity to apply to be an ambassador, I knew that I wanted to do it. I wanted to give back to Missouri Farm Bureau for the years that they had supported us, and so I applied, and this year it's really my goal. I'm not going directly into the agriculture industry, but to provide students with an opportunity to learn that it is possible to be involved and engaged in the agriculture industry while still not going into a career in agriculture.
Good afternoon. My name is Jessica Janorski, and I hail from Buchanan County. And currently I'm studying ag business at Mizzou with a minor in accounting. So I'm not sure exactly where that will take me, but I'm really excited to see where it does. And I know that I will definitely hope to go into the career of agriculture with my degree. Maybe public relations, we'll see. But I was just telling Jacob earlier how it is so exciting and so refreshing to see so many blue jackets. I know we were both FFA members, and so it's really cool to be able to see you guys from this perspective and just chat and hang out. And so that's been really refreshing today. But I wanted to apply to be a Farm Bureau ambassador because of all of the relationships and the connections that I've made. I think one thing that Missouri Farm Bureau places such an emphasis on is sharing our story and sharing our story of agriculture. And so that's what I'm most looking forward to this year, is the opportunity to learn more about our members and to learn more about potential members and FFA members and just people who are really allies to agriculture. And so that's what I'm excited about this year and what I'm excited to have been able to do. And with that being said, it is my pleasure to introduce another very important friend of agriculture in the state of Missouri. It's my pleasure to welcome to the stage the Missouri Director of Agriculture, Chinn. She is a wife, a mom, and a fifth-generation farmer from Clarence, Missouri, and we are so excited to have her speak with us today.
Thank you, guys, and welcome, everyone. I know you guys had an early day. Some of you probably had to get up pretty early to be here. How many of you had to get up and leave before 6 o'clock this morning? Quite a few. Well, first, let me tell you thank you for doing that. I was like you this morning. I actually started out this morning on our family farm up in Shelby County, and I was on the road by 5:30 this morning to be in Jeff City by 7. So you're probably a little tired, and your feet might be a little sore from walking the halls of the Capitol as well, and I understand that as well. But what you guys were able to do today was very important. I know you've all been to the state capitol before when you were probably in the 3rd, 4th grade, sometime around that time, but I'm sure today it brought back a lot of familiar memories to you, and things maybe started to make a little more sense than what they did when you were in the 3rd or the 4th grade when you came for that school field trip. As you heard, I am a a farmer, but most importantly, I'm a mom. And it hasn't been too long ago that my kids were sitting here at Youth Leadership Day in your shoes. And before I was Director of Agriculture, I actually used to bring our students from Shelby County up here. And so I actually got to be a part of it from a volunteer standpoint as well. So for all of the chaperones who brought students here today, if you're an FFA advisor or you're just a volunteer in your county farm bureau, thank you for making that adjustment in your schedule for today. Thank you for bringing these students. I can tell you that it's a great time of the year for you to be in the Capitol to remind our legislators that you are the future of the state of Missouri and you are the future of agriculture. As I've heard that you've heard today, you've gotten a lot about what your future careers might be in agriculture. But I also want you to know that by being here today, you don't have to have a career in agriculture to make a difference for agriculture. While we hope every single one of you has a career in agriculture, you might be like my daughter, Rachel, who decided her life calling was to be a registered nurse. And she was really scared as a kid to tell me that, Mom, I don't want to be involved in agriculture. I don't want to live on a farm anymore. I want to go be a nurse. So that's what she pursued. And I told her, you don't have to be afraid to tell me that because you can still be an advocate for agriculture no matter where you are and what you do. She's happily married now and living on a family farm, so she didn't get to get away from it. It's not our family farm, but she is involved in agriculture today. But I'll never forget the day that she graduated nursing school. She showed me her badge. All the nurses have an ID badge holder. And she showed it to me, and it was farm related. It was a barn. She had a pig. She had a cow. She was going to work at Children's Mercy Hospital in Kansas City. And I said, why are you wearing that? I thought you wanted to get away from the farm. And she goes, Mom, I'm proud of who I am, and I'm proud of where I came from. And this name badge is going to help me tell our story. She said, I remember when I went to Farm Bureau with you, my junior year of high school, you told all of us to have our 30-minute elevator speech when we met our legislators. And she said, this little badge here helps me tell my 30-minute elevator speech to my patients and to their parents. So for those of you who may be thinking of a career outside of agriculture, I want you to know that that is okay. Because with the knowledge that you have learned through being a part of Youth Leadership Day, through being involved in FFA or 4-H or whatever it might be in your local community, you have the ability to share the story of agriculture. How many of you guys are involved in livestock? Quite a few of you. How many of you guys share photos on social media of what you do with your livestock? Quite a few. Well, I want to challenge all of you, whether you're involved in livestock, whether you're involved in a row crop operation, or whether you're a kid that lives in town that's just involved in FFA. When you guys are doing something that's FFA related or farm related, share that on social media. Because what you don't realize is that the people who don't have a connection to agriculture have an opportunity to learn the real value of FFA and the real story of agriculture through you and sharing your pictures. That's one of the ways that I started being an advocate for agriculture is I just started blogging and showing pictures of what we do on our farm and ranch all the time. At first, I was nervous to do it. I felt kind of stupid doing it. I was afraid of what people might think of me for doing it. But what I realized is people outside of agriculture were very curious about why that cow had a white face, or why our pigs were only pink, and how come we didn't have red pigs. Those are things that I don't think about as a farmer, but they were things that were very important to people outside of agriculture because they didn't understand why our animals looked the way they did. So you guys have a huge opportunity to help share that story and educate our next generation of consumers who are going to be your peers. Another thing I want you guys to remember today about Youth Leadership Day is that you do not have to have a title to make a difference. I know some of your jackets might have leadership titles on them, and I think that's great. Congratulations for that. But I want each of you to know in this room that you are a leader for agriculture. You don't have to have a title to make a difference. Some of my greatest accomplishments that I'm the most proud of didn't happen when I was Director of Agriculture. They didn't happen when I was a state board member for Missouri Farm Bureau or the American Farm Bureau Young Farmers and Ranchers Chairman. They happened when I was just at home in my rural community being Chinn. Those are the days that are so important that you need to remember. Don't think that because you missed out on getting that FFA office or the 4-H club leader or whatever group it might be, because you didn't get that office that you can't be a leader. Because every one of you in this room has the ability to be a leader. All you have to do is show up and be active. So that's my challenge to you today. What can you take away from youth leadership today to take back home to your FFA chapter, to take back home to your 4-H club, to take back home to your church youth group, whatever group it might be? What can you do to be that leader, to make a difference, to help a fellow neighbor in your community, to help a fellow classmate or a teammate? I know many of you had to make some sacrifices to be here today. You might be missing a track meet, you might be missing an FFA practice. There are different things that you had to sacrifice for being here today. And that's what being a leader is all about. It's about putting other people before you. It's about making sacrifices for the greater good. And I'm proud of each one of you for doing that. I know some of you guys got up really early and you're tired and sitting in that chair, it's hard to stay awake. You've just eaten what looked like a pretty good lunch. But thank you guys for being here today. And thank you for walking those halls and talking to those legislators. For some of you, that might have come very naturally, and for others, it might have been really uncomfortable to be standing there talking to this adult who has this really prestigious title that you know not a lot about, or maybe you know a lot about. Thank you guys for getting out of your comfort zone, because getting out of your comfort zone is where leaders are born as well. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you for staying awake during my speech. And thank you guys for just being a volunteer. Wearing that blue jacket, whether you know it or not, makes you stand apart from other people. But it's not about when you wear that blue jacket, really. It's about what you do when you don't have that blue jacket on that really makes a difference. Because when you have the blue jacket on, people are really paying attention to you. They have a lot of high expectations because they know what the FFA is and the skills that it teaches you. But for people who see you outside of wearing those blue jackets, that's important too, because you probably are not wearing your jackets as much as you think you are. The summertime, you don't wear those jackets, but some of you guys are probably volunteering in your local communities, or you might be helping a younger 4-H kid at the county fair. Those are the times that other people are watching you that really shows the integrity that each one of you possess in this room today. So keep up the good work, don't ever give up, and don't get discouraged, and continue to be the voice of agriculture, because you are our future. And each of you in this room is going to do a better job of advocating for agriculture than what my generation is doing. And that's what we want. We want you guys to show up and kick our butts and show us how it's really done. So thank you guys for being here, and thank you for everything that you do for Missouri agriculture.
We appreciate your time and talents. Today, our keynote speaker hails from Maysville, Missouri. She is a wife, mother, motivational speaker, and facilitator. Please join me in welcoming Rachel Kagay.
Okay, let's see if I'm smart enough for this. Good afternoon. How are you all? There we go. I think I figured it out. Can you hear me? Okay. They're going to figure it out for me. All right. Well, good afternoon. I am excited to be here. As you heard, my name is Rachel Kagay. I'm going to keep tapping on this. Can you hear this at all? Nobody? Okay. It says it's on, but you can't hear me. You can't hear me? Can you hear me? Very little. Okay. Is there a volume adjustment? Okay, then we'll just stick with this. It's okay. It's all right. We're all good. Well, good afternoon. I have a hard time standing in one place, and so that's why I thought I would use the handheld mic. So if I get to wandering and you can't hear me, you better just wave, okay? I've had more caffeine today than I normally do, and so I might start speaking fast and moving around the stage, and I need you to tell me to simmer down when you need me to, all right? Well, I am really, really honored to get a chance to talk with you all today, and actually, it brought back a ton of memories driving down here this morning because this is not my first time in this building by a long shot, and it's not my first time at a Youth Leadership Day. I had the opportunity to sit in the exact seats that you are sitting in as a member, and a friend of mine so lovingly told me earlier before I spoke that was 17 years ago, and so some of you may not have even been born then, but I'm not as old as that sounds, I promise, okay? But I had the opportunity to serve and come to Youth Leadership Day, I was an FFA member all through school and became a state FFA officer. And then life took me all over the place. I thought I was going to be an ag teacher and bringing students like you to events like this. And the Lord had different plans for me that you'll hear a little bit about as we go along. But I was able to return to my roots here in Missouri and Missouri agriculture about 4 years ago after starting this career and traveling to speak and do team development and training and facilitation. My husband and I made the decision, and you'll see him in a picture here. He's in the middle. His name is Bryant. We made the decision to return home to the family farm about 4 years ago to raise our kids with agricultural roots and to return to things like this that matter so much to us. So I am really honored to get to be here with you because you are making a difference and you are growing as a leader by being here in this room. Now, I've shared with you this picture of my family, and you'll notice I have 2 kids, Parker and Kinsley. Aren't they so cute? Okay, of course, every mom thinks their kid's the cutest, right? But one of the best things to me about being a mom is getting to read storybooks again. You know, as you get older, reading storybooks like the board books with pictures, it becomes not so cool anymore, right? But how many of us still love having a good story read to us or learning through a good story? A few of you are raising your hand. I love a good story. And when I became a mom, I realized we were getting all these books gifted to us, and the traditional ones that you would think of that you probably heard as a kid. But as I was looking at our bookshelf one day, I came across a book that a friend gifted us that I pulled out to read to my son. Now, keep in mind, this was early, before he could even read, right, or before he could speak words. I got to read this book to him. And as I read this book that I want to share a little bit with you from today, I realized that this book was maybe written more for adults, but in kid form with pictures. I think that you'll benefit a lot from hearing this story because I think that there's great power in learning from stories. What I chose to do today is talk about a topic that I think applies to all of us, regardless of whether you choose to pursue a career in agriculture or not. You've heard the last couple of speakers up here share that whether or not you choose to pursue a career in agriculture full time, you can be an advocate. You are a leader. And I have become to believe fully and down deep into my soul that no matter what, whether you have a title or not, like Ms. Chinn shared with us, you are a leader. But being a leader still comes with struggles and challenges and fears. And so I want to talk to you about Jonathan James and the What If Monster. Has anyone heard this book before? Okay, I think it's relatively unknown, and that's unfortunate. So I want to share it with you this afternoon, excuse me. Before I do that, I can tell that it's been at after lunch, right? We've been sitting in these seats already for a while. Like we've heard, our feet are probably tired. So I want everybody to stand up. All right, stand up and pat the person next to you on the back and say, your nap can wait 1 more hour. All right. All right, now go ahead and have a seat. I know people have traveled far and wide to get here and are probably looking forward to that bus or car ride nap on the way home. So before I decided to read a book to you, I thought it might be good to wake you up, all right? So let's listen to a little bit of Jonathan James. Some what-if monsters like to hang out and fill up our heads with worry and doubt. They are sneaky and quiet and quick as a blink. The words that they whisper can change how we think. Jonathan James heard those words full of dread, and all of those what-ifs got stuck in his head. What if you tumble What if there's wind? What if you slip and your knee gets all skinned? What if they giggle? What if it's chilly? What if you jump and look really silly? What if it's hard? What if you're bad? What if they laugh and make you feel sad? What if it's ugly? What if it stinks? What if that's what everyone thinks? This is my kid's favorite. What if it's yucky? What if it's icky? What if mom yells because you're too picky? What if it's dark? What if it's scary? What if there's something giant and hairy? What if you lose? What if you're last? What if you're slow and never get fast? What if she laughs? What if she runs? What if she thinks you're not any fun? What if? That powerful phrase has the power to stop us in our tracks or propel us forward into a future. And so today, looking at all of these leaders in the room, I want to spend a little bit of time talking about these fears that typically stand in the way of our progress if we let them, because I believe that everyone in the room probably has some what if they related to in that book. So if there was a what if that stood out to you, turn to the person next to you and share which one really gotcha. Which one you're like, I've asked that before. All right. I heard several being shared throughout the room. We all have a different what if, we ask. We all have this monster whispering in our ear, and I will tell you a secret, even the grown-ups in the room have this what if whispering in their ear all the time, right? But we get to give power to what we do with our thoughts, right? And so I want to unpack a little bit today 3 common fears that face us as leaders and some antidotes to fight against those fears. Sound good? Now, I know it is after lunch, so you should be prepared that with every fear, there will likely be something I ask you to do, so you won't be just sitting back for very long. So if you're starting to drift out, your eyes are starting to drift closed, make sure you're nudging that person next to you so that they're not embarrassed when everyone stands up and they're still sitting, okay? All right. The first common fear I think that we hear in Jonathan James is this fear of failure. What if I fail? What if it's not perfect? What if I'm not perfect? Now, this can take a lot of different forms, right? For some of us, this looks like being the achiever in the room, right? We go after every opportunity. We've got to be the best at everything we do. We want to have that title on our jacket. And guess what? There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Sometimes this looks like we are so afraid of what might happen from that failure that we procrastinate everything, and we just don't take action. Other people might think we're lazy, and inside we're thinking, no, it's just the stupid what-if monster, right? I'm so afraid of failing. What's going to happen if I take that next step? I think all of us can find ourselves in that, and I know I can, in both of those categories. I faced this what-if monster lots of time in my life, but one time in particular that stands out is when I had the opportunity to go bungee jumping in New Zealand, all right? So when I was in college at the University of Missouri, I had the opportunity to study abroad in New Zealand for about 3 weeks, studying their agriculture and their culture. And one thing, if you aren't familiar with New Zealand, that they are known for is for crazy adventure sports. I mean, people from New Zealand are kind of nuts, but they're awesome, all right? And so think glacier hiking, think whitewater rafting, think skydiving, and think bungee jumping. New Zealand's actually the birthplace of bungee jumping. And so when we were preparing for this trip, I knew that I had put on my bucket list as a 7th grader that at some point in my life, I was going to bungee jump. I had already turned down the opportunity more than once out of fear. But in New Zealand, I was going to face this fear and conquer it. So we visited the A.J. Hackett Bridge, which is known as the first place that bungee jumping was attempted successfully in the world. All right? And it happens over a bridge, obviously, over a river. And so you had the opportunity to tell the guys running this bungee jumping station if you wanted to go in the water or not. Okay? So I am so excited walking into this day that I'm finally going to accomplish this goal. And then I watched the first person in our group jump. And all of a sudden, all I felt was fear. All I felt was the what if, the what if, the what if. And it wasn't even a what if the rubber band breaks? Because essentially just wrapping a rubber band around your ankles. It was more about, what if I do this poorly? What if I fail and get hurt? What if I don't touch the water and I really wanted to? It was all of these what ifs, making this dream that I had had processed through the lens of failure. How can you fail at bungee jumping? That was the fear I had. So as we get up, I just keep falling back farther and farther in the line. Oh, you go ahead. You look really excited. Go for it, right? And watching everyone jump one after another. As we stepped up there, my now husband, then boyfriend, was also on the study abroad trip with us. And I say, you go first, Bryant. So he steps up there. He didn't even want to bungee jump. I talked him into it. But he steps up there confidently, stands on the ledge that you can see, and they say, okay, we're going to count down from 3, and then you're going to dive and have a good time. I would try to mimic the New Zealand accent, but I want to save us all that pain, okay? So he steps up to the platform, they count down from 3, and he does this incredibly graceful swan dive, hits the water, comes back up, squealing with delight, had the time of his life. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I cannot do that. As soon as he jumped, my heart was in my throat, and I thought, there's no way. But I'm committed at this point. They've got the rubber band wrapped around my legs, all right? And they tell me I'm not backing out now. So I step up to the ledge, as you can see in this first picture, and I'm holding on to this little, it's like a door knob, sort of, with everything in me, like white knuckle grip, as they say to smile to the camera. You can tell I'm really excited to smile for the camera, right? So I step on the ledge and I realize that this is the moment that I can choose to let that what if win or not. So they say, okay, Rachel, we're going to count down from 3, and on 3 you jump. Got it. Actually, they said on 1 you jump. So they count down 3, 2, 1. And the video would show you that I'm still standing on the ledge holding on for dear life, right? White knuckle grip on the doorknob. And so this nice, young New Zealand man with a very nice accent steps up and whispers in my ear, you can do this. 1 more time. We'll count down from 3, and then you jump. Okay, I can do this. All right. 3, 2, 1. Maybe my body swayed about an inch, but I was still standing right there on the platform. This time, the nice New Zealand gentleman with the very attractive accent steps up and whispers in my ear, I'm going to count down from 3, and if this time you don't jump, we push you. Got it. All right, got it. I'm going to go off of this platform whether I like it or not. So I can let the what if win, or I can just, I can choose to go on my own, or it's going to choose for me, right? So they start counting. 3, 2, and instead of like a graceful dive off the platform, on 2, I just kind of chose to like bend my knees and roll off. I don't remember much of anything else about that experience. The bouncing, none of it. What I realized at the bottom was that they had to float out on this raft, as you can see, and extend a PVC pipe up in the air to pull you into the raft to unhook you from your bungee jumping experience. And I thought I was still going until I heard, you have to open your eyes, ma'am. I had my eyes closed the whole time, and I missed it because of the fear of failing at that experience. They pulled me into the raft, and they actually asked me to stay laying there for a couple minutes until I could catch my breath before they let me stand up straight. The fear of failure has a lot of power in our lives. The fear of failure can hold us back from great opportunities or launch us into taking advantage of the great opportunities life gives us. Before I move on to that next slide that you already got a peek at, I want you to turn to the person next to you, and answer this question. What I would do if I knew I could not fail is, what would you do if you knew you would not fail? What opportunity would you go after? What experience would you take advantage of? Turn to the person next to you and share. All right. I don't think. All right. I want to hear just really quickly to shout out. What did we hear? What did we share? What would you do if you knew you could not fail? What? Skydive? Okay. What else? The lottery. Wrestle a grizzly bear. Win the lottery. What else? Fly a plane. Okay. wrestle a crocodile. Okay, so we have really some extreme people in the room, all right? But think about that sport you've never tried out for. That team in FFA you've always wanted to be a part of, but maybe it feels a little intimidating. Maybe for some of us, it's just taking the risk of going and testing for our driver's license, right? There are so many fears in our life that can stand in the way of us taking advantage of what opportunities come our way. So in the face of failure, I want to challenge you to choose action. What does that mean, to choose action? We want to start this by leading with character. You see, one of the things that our fears can run the risk of for us is that we make little choices, one after another, to avoid the failure that end up compromising our integrity and our character. We go so far to avoid the risk of being perceived as a failure in the eyes of other people that we end up sacrificing ourselves and the way that we carry ourselves and the way other people can see us, or that we know in our guts is right or wrong. So we want to choose to lead with character. And then when we think about these big activities that feel really hard to master, right? And we're so afraid to fail that we don't even get started, I want to challenge you to think about, what is the first and smallest next step I can take? Like, what can I do in the next 10 minutes that helps me get closer to conquering that fear? Maybe I'm not going to do the whole thing at one time, but I can make one choice today that gets me a little bit closer to conquering this fear. Because imperfect action makes things happen. Let me be real with you. Failure is not an option, because it will happen. Every one of us in the room have experienced failure at some degree. It will happen. So instead of letting that fear dominate us, let's choose to act one small step at a time in the direction of the dream that we have. We can also choose to play the and then what game, right? So in the moments that we are really fearful of that failure or of what's going to happen next, we can ask ourselves a question or have a friend ask us, and then what? Okay? If you fail at this, then what happens? Well, somebody maybe laughs at me. And then what? Then I feel really embarrassed. And then what? Right? And walk that all the way out to the end, and guess what? I would tell you that 99% of the time, when you end that and then what game, you realize that the only thing holding you back is yourself. And you're letting that what if monster win. Because in the end, that fear of failure is never as big as we let it become. So we want to choose action in the face of failure. So let's move on to our next what if. What if they judge me? What if they laugh? What if I don't fit in? The fear of judgment. Anybody experienced this before? What are they going to think? Whoever they is. I see some heads nodding, some hands raised. Yeah. Can I tell you a secret that's not going to be a secret in just a second? We experience this. I experience this almost every day, right? Walking in this building, I know a lot of people in this room that I attend events like this with, or have taught with my mom in the past, and there's the what if monster whispering in my head about, what are they going to think about me being the keynote speaker, right? These what if monsters have the potential to really derail our success if we let them. So let me tell you a little story about Rachel in high school. I grew up on a farm. I grew up with a pretty interesting family that really loves traditions. Has anyone ever experienced a turtle race before? Anyone in the room turtle racers? Okay, a few people willing to say that, loud and proud. All right. So my family, every year on Father's Day when we gather, we have a good old-fashioned turtle race. And this developed over the years. This was my grandpa's idea, and we would begin for a few weeks before Father's Day looking for our turtle. Now, let me tell you a little secret in case you ever have the opportunity to turtle race in the future. Box turtles are terrible. Never grab a box turtle. They'll turtle up and loose, right? You really want like a red-eared slider or an only mildly aggressive snapping turtle, okay? That's what you want to look for. All right, so my family always had these turtle races every year on Father's Day, and I really enjoyed the experience because I'm pretty competitive, and so my sister and I would start looking for the best turtle pretty early and feeding them. You know, we'd get a few and figure out at home which one's the fastest because we wanted to win, you know, the bragging rights, I guess, of being the turtle race winners. And so as the years went on, I really enjoyed this, but I realized that we used to race like at my grandparents' house, right out in front of the house along the highway. Not racing towards the highway, let me clarify, right? But right where anyone driving by could see. And as I got older and older, I started to feel a little more and more insecure about just how ridiculous this looked. You know, like I got concerned about the pictures ending up on social media. I'm not too proud to tell you that I called my cousin one time and asked her to untag me in some photos because I thought it looked too embarrassing. I was constantly worried about what other people would think about this slightly redneck activity that my family and I engaged in, right? I used to really enjoy it, and all of a sudden I was pretty paralyzed that day about what other people would think if they saw that I was really into this really cheesy turtle race experience. To the point that for a couple of years I just, chose to find ways to not participate. Until one year when my grandpa kind of had my number. See, I grew up showing livestock, and I always showed cattle at the All Breeds MCA Junior Show in Sedalia. And it wasn't uncommon that that show would land on Father's Day weekend. Anybody show cattle in the room? All right, so I see several hands. So we would always attend that show. And one year in high school, I was on the Junior Cattlemen's State Board. And so I thought, well, I'm busy here. We're not going to have a turtle race this weekend. Darn the luck, right? Instead, during the barbecue that night, my grandpa came up to me. I was standing around with a group of my friends, and he whispered in my ear, and he said, "Hey, Rachel, when you're done, come on out to the trailer, because I brought the turtles." My grandpa had this green tub full of turtles that he brought. Now, I'm sorry if there's any conservationists in the room. Maybe this was breaking some laws. I don't know. It's been lots of years ago now, right? But he took this tub of turtles from Drexel, Missouri, 2 hours away to Sedalia, Missouri, because the whole family would be there to take part in this turtle race. All of a sudden, my friends standing around me started to hear, "Turtle races? What in the heck is a turtle race?" And I feel myself melting inside, right? You've been there? That sense of like, what are they going to think? This is the absolute most ridiculous thing. I cannot believe this is happening. I was so embarrassed. Until my friend Jordan said, "That sounds awesome." Right? And all of a sudden, there were like 4 friends following me to the trailer because they heard my grandpa say we had a few extra. And that year, we had a turtle race in Sedalia at the MCA All Breeds Junior Show with friends participating in the turtle races, telling me they thought it was awesome and they wished that their family did something like that. Everybody in the room has something that you feel a little insecure about, right? What if I try that and I look ridiculous? What if I go out for that sport or try out for the team and I get cut? What will people think, right? What if I wear that thing to school today? What if I post that picture on social media or somebody else posts it and I don't feel comfortable with it, right? We're constantly thinking about what other people will think. And often we're standing in the way of our own joy, our own experiences, our own opportunities by constantly worrying about what other people think. Let me let you in on a little secret. Nobody is thinking about you as much as you're thinking about yourself, all right? This antidote might feel a little weird. When we're talking about this fear of judgment, I want to challenge you to choose kindness. See, when we practice thinking about other people more than we're thinking about ourselves, that fear of judgment starts to slowly fall away. So I want you to start by extending yourself some grace. Be kind to yourself. Ask, would I let a friend tell me the things that I'm saying to myself in my head? Because the chances are probably not, right? We want to extend generosity to others. We want to assume that other people in the room are trying their best just as we are trying ours, right? And if we can extend kindness and assume the best instead of the worst, we automatically attract kindness to us while we are extending it. And we also want to practice the platinum rule. Now, how many of you have heard the golden rule before? Right? The treat others the way that you want to be treated. I want to challenge you today to practice the platinum rule. Treat others the way they would like to be treated. Find ways to go out of your way to extend kindness and generosity, and find that you're thinking about yourself way less than you're thinking about serving others. We want to choose action, and we want to choose kindness. I'd like everybody to stand up in the room. Everybody All right, you're going to find the person nearest to you that is about the same height as you. All right? Just about. It doesn't have to be perfect. Find the person nearest to you. Everybody needs a partner. All right? All right, once you have your partner found, you are going to, if everybody can see me, you're going to hold your hand in the air like this, right? One hand, like the hand you shake hands with, all right? With that finger still extended, you're going to go ahead and go palm to palm with your partner. Here, will you stand up here and you can be my okay, so you're going to take your hands. Got it? So you're pointing at them, they're pointing at you. Got it? All right. Thank you. In just a moment, all right, ears up here. In just a moment, you have 45 seconds to touch the other person's hip, only their hip. Okay, we're keeping it PG here. As many times as you possibly can, all right? You're going to touch the other person's hip as many times as you possibly can. What questions do you have? Go, go. All right, time's up. Time's up, have a seat. All right, time's up. All right, I keep fiddling with this. How many people touched the other person's hip at least 10 times? All right, several hands in the room. More than 20 times? 30? Okay. All right, so we've got some winners in the room. Awesome. How many of you found yourself fighting against your partner? Yeah. Did I ever say that it was a competition? No, right? So the people, I just heard somebody go, oh, right? So the people that won, right, the people that had the maximum number of hip touches, right, in this game of finger jousting, were the people that figured out that if we just went back and forth, we could accomplish that goal of touching the other person's hip as many times as possible in the amount of time we had, right? Here's the silly thing that this demonstrates. So many times in our lives, we walk around looking at everyone else as competition or someone that might stand in my way, right? Whether it's the way that they judge us or the way that they're going after the same opportunities that I am or what they might think of me. And very rarely do we walk through our everyday lives choosing to think win-win. When we are looking around for ways that we can win and help others win in the process, that's where the sweet spot of life is as a leader. So I want to challenge you to choose kindness, and one way to do this is to think win-win in all of your interactions. Let's talk for a minute about our final fear today, a fear of the future. How many of you know exactly what you want to do when you become an adult? I used to ask that question, what you want to be when you grow up, and then I realized I still feel like I'm growing up, so maybe I should change how I ask that question. So very few of us in the room, and I actually don't think I saw any adults' hands, answered that they know exactly what they want to be when they grow up, right, when they become an adult, right? And that's okay. But some of us in the room do. We have a very clear picture of where we would like our life to go and what we would like to do with it. Sometimes we're paralyzed by this sense of what if I never achieve my dream, whether that's a lifelong dream or a dream of a goal to accomplish in the next year. What if I never figure out my purpose? Everyone says, go find your purpose, you'll never work a day in your life, right? But what if I never figure out what that is? What if I don't know what I want? This fear of the future can be really powerful. Some of us, like I said, might know exactly where they want to go, and most of us are still figuring that out, and that is okay. But let me tell you a story about someone I know who knew from a very early age exactly what she wanted to do with her life. She grew up in a family that was probably like a lot of yours in the room, all focused in agriculture. In fact, you're going to think that this story sounds very similar to Chris talking about her daughter pursuing a degree in nursing, because this girl that I know, always knew, even though her family always knew, even though her family was deeply involved in agriculture, that she was called to something different. When she was really little, when someone asked her what she wanted to be when she grew up, she would just say a helper. She wanted to be a helper, finding a way to serve others. And then pretty quickly, she got a doctor's kit for Christmas one year at about age 6 and realized, this is what I want to do with my life. I want to be a nurse. I want to help people through the field of nursing. Now, she had no one in her family in a health profession who had any idea how to help her get to her goal, but she didn't care. She knew exactly where she was headed and what she wanted to do with her life. She also knew, just like Chris shared, that even though that's what she wanted to do, pursue nursing, that she also really wanted to be involved in the field of agriculture. And so she continued as a 4-H member and an FFA member. She served in many capacities in the worlds like this. That's how I know her, one of the ways I know her. And a struggle that got in her way was this power of what if. See, the dream, the goal was so clear to become a nurse, but there were lots of obstacles in the way. What if I never get there because I don't have anyone that can help show me the way? What if I never get there because I can't get the grades to get into nursing school? You see, she also always battled test anxiety. She always started to stare down that what-if monster, knowing that a test date was approaching. And even if she knew everything that was going to be on the test, all of that information left her brain as she sat there taking a test thinking, what if, what if, what if, what if? As she approached the opportunity to pursue this degree in nursing, she went to the University of Missouri. And she knew that she didn't want to just be a nurse. She wanted to go to the Sinclair School of Nursing at the University of Missouri. And she knew that was going to be a tall order. So she started a degree of health sciences, which is the step that you take before you enter nursing school, and found that the science classes were really, really hard. She had to ask for some extra help. She had to go into every test or every open office hour that a professor offered, and still ultimately had to repeat a class that kept her out of nursing school the first time she applied. She had to watch all of her peers enter nursing school, this dream that she had had her whole life, while she's sitting there thinking, what if I never get there? So the next step she took was to look into what opportunities would help her get a little closer to her goal. And so she became a CNA. And she worked through school as a CNA, gaining skills to apply what she was learning in the classroom to be able to apply the next year to the College of Nursing at Mizzou. And by the time the next year rolled around, with some work experience under her belt, a couple of repeated classes, and some help with test anxiety, my sister graduated with a degree of nursing from Mizzou. This is something that she had pursued her whole life. In fact, I tried so hard to find the picture, but I've got a picture of me. I was 4 years older than her, laying on the couch because she constantly made me play doctor as a kid. She knew this was her goal, and she finally achieved it. It took her a little longer than the rest, but she finally got to that dream. And today she gets to work as a nurse at Children's Mercy in pediatric oncology, and is one of only 10 on a team of bone marrow collection and transplant for kids with childhood cancer. Pretty cool story. And she gets to meet cool people like Paul Rudd when they do things like the Big Slick in Kansas City. She's getting to pursue her dream, even in the face of tremendous challenges along the way. My sister chose, in the face of fear, to choose purpose. And that's what I want to challenge you with today. We're choosing action, we're choosing kindness, and we're choosing purpose. Now, you don't have to be like my sister and know exactly what you want to do when you grow up. I still don't know exactly what I want to do in the next 5 years, right? That changes, and that's okay. But there are strategies and actions we can take now to help us get closer and closer to figuring out what that dream might be. So the first thing I want to challenge you to do is find what you enjoy and find what you're good at. Find your talents and your strengths. Put a name to them, and also name your weaknesses, because guess what? None of us are great at everything, and everyone in the room has a weakness or two. When we find what our greatest talents and strengths are, we can find where our greatest potential lies. We also want to ask for help. None of us can get where we're going on our own, and we need one another to support us along the journey. So find your talents and passions, ask for help, and then just take one step forward. In my sister's story, every time an obstacle came up in her path, a failed class, getting rejected from nursing school the first time, all she did was choose the next thing that would get her a little bit closer to the goal she had in mind. And while we might not know exactly what we want to do in the future, I bet we all have at least a short-term goal that we might face obstacles to along the way. And as we think about those goals, we can find our talents and strengths, ask for help, and keep taking one step forward. Okay, we're going to do one more activity to stand up and sit down, okay? So push your chairs back just enough so that you have enough space to stand up and sit down, all right? I know that that might be tight, but do your very best. In just a moment, all right, you can start seated. Thank you. In just a minute, we're going to have a series of statements pop up on the screen. And if that statement always applies to you, you're like, yep, that's totally me, I want you to stand up, okay? Now's the opportunity to nudge your neighbor if their eyes are closed, just in case, right? They get caught sitting down. So they're going to stand up if you always. You need to nudge your neighbor if their eyes are closed, just in case, right? They get caught sitting down. So they're going to stand up if you always. If your answer is, that's not always me, but sometimes, I want you to stay seated and raise a hand high, okay? And if you think, absolutely not, this is never me, stay seated and cross your arms over your chest, all right? Are you ready? Stand up if you have gotten into trouble for talking too much, all right? We have someone not just standing, but raising two hands. All right, several in the room, have a seat. There were some loud and proud talkers, like not just standing, but standing with arms raised. I like it. I once got a note home as a kindergartner. My mom was a teacher, so that was a problem. But my teacher had to move me 3 times because I talked too much. No surprise what I'm doing for a living, right? Stand up if you read as much as you can, even the back of the cereal box. Where are our readers in the room? Remember, hands up if it's sometimes, cross if never. All right, some readers in the room, have a seat. Stand up if you hate to lose at anything. Where are our competitive folks? All right. Don't challenge them to a race home, all right? All right, have a seat. Stand up if you always ask too many questions or get told by other people you ask too many questions. Maybe you think it's fine. All right, have a seat. Stand up if you enjoy having a to-do list. The organization is exciting to you. All right. Have a seat. How about if you enjoy helping others find common ground? You're kind of a mediator. Where are our mediators in the room? You enjoy helping people find a way forward. Awesome. All right, have a seat. Stand up if you like to find ways to take things from good to great. You're always seeing ways to improve something. Anybody in the room? All right, have a seat. Just a few more. Stand up if you often find yourself being a team leader in group projects, in your FFA chapter, and other things in school. Often a leader. Awesome, have a seat. How about if you have an organized locker or school supplies? Right? Awesome. Several people in the room. All right, have a seat. I also see several people sitting. So teachers, those are probably the lockers you have to scoop out on the last day of school, right? Just right into the dumpster. All right, just a couple more. Stand up if you often find yourself lost in your thoughts and ideas. You love time to think or explore your thoughts. All right, have a seat. All right, last 2. Stand up if you prefer to be in a crowd. You love to be in a place where a lot of people are. All right, awesome. Have a seat. Surprisingly, I thought there might be a few more, all right? I'm someone who loves to be in a crowd. I got to go to a concert for the first time since COVID a couple weeks ago, and I teared up a little bit just seeing everybody in one room. I was so excited. All right, finally, last but not least, the opposite of that, stand up if you prefer to recharge or spend time alone. Where are people in the room that are more introverted? All right, several. All right, have a seat. What's the point of all of this? Some of them are funny, right? Some of them might have made us chuckle. Some of you might have thought, I thought everyone in the room would stand up for that, right? All of these prompts might feel like silly quirks or idiosyncrasies or just things about your personality. But in fact, if you take some time to think about what is it that lights you up and that you enjoy, what is it that you enjoy about that, this is one way that we can start that process of finding our talents and strengths that we really enjoy. By thinking about what is it that people seek me out for. We had a lot of people in the room stand up that they play the role of mediator a lot, right? What is it about helping people find common ground that you enjoy? Where might you be able to use that skill in other places? Those of you that love a to-do list or have an organized locker, what is it about organization that excites you or helps you feel structured? How could that benefit yourself in the world? Think about the things that make you uniquely who you are and use those as a gift to yourself and the people around you. Those are the small steps we can take to help us find and choose our purpose. Who wants to hear how the story ends? Okay, I feel like I can't leave you with like half the story read, right? All right. So Jonathan James has been listening to these what ifs all through the day, right? And he finally says, now wait just a minute. I have something to say after hearing what ifs all through the day. I hear all your worries. I hear all your claims. But what if you're wrong? Asks Jonathan James. What if I climb to the top of that tree and I never slip or skin up a knee? What if I jump right into that pool and everyone thinks I look really cool? And what if baseball is nothing but fun and I end up hitting a triple home run? What if my drawing goes up on the wall and everyone thinks it's the best fun of all? And what if I taste some of that food and it puts my mouth in a really good mood? And what if I run in a really big race and have a great time, no matter what place? And what if I sleep and have the best dreams, that monsters are sweeter than they all seem? And what if the chance I take, in the end, is just how I find my very best friend? FFA members, we have the power to choose what we do with our what if monster. We can let it hold us back by looking at it as fear, or we can choose to use it to propel us forward by choosing action, choosing kindness, and choosing purpose. I want to thank you so much for letting me be a small part of your day today. Don't hesitate to reach out if you'd like to talk further at any time. And thank you again for letting me be a part of your day.
How about a power clap for Rachel? 2 in one day, right? Oh, I didn't count. Guys, Keith, it was you. All right, 1, 2, 3. All right. Thank you so much again, Rachel, for your words of wisdom. As we close and we get ready to go home, I want to offer some thank yous. I know they've been recognized once before, but thank you once again to all of the chaperones, ag teachers, County Farm Bureau leaders, and community volunteers who have brought you all down here today. I hope you will get the chance to thank them individually for making this event happen. It wouldn't be possible without their help. Thank you to Farm Bureau's legislative team and our public affairs team for helping make this day a success. And I want to thank a very special person involved in Youth Leadership Day. Miss Julie Waldrop is sitting right over there in the cafeteria. Julie is our Promotion and Education Administrative Assistant, and this event would not be possible every single year without her help and her expertise. If you are interested in filling out a survey before you go home, if you look down at your placemat, there is a QR code you can scan with your phone. We strive to make this event better and better every single year that we put it on. So if you go ahead and scan that and tell us about your experience, we hope to use that feedback to improve on events in the future. With that, we will go ahead and close. Thank you once again for your attention and safe travels home. Have a good day, everybody.